You want me to read that from?
Yes, please.
Okay, the following is the agenda of the regular council meeting of the Borough of Pompton, Lakes, Mayor and Council, Municipal Corporation in the County of Passaic. The meeting will begin at 7:30 p.m., April 14th, in the Municipal Building, consistent with the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act. The meeting will be open for public comments. Public comments may be made at designated times during the meeting and may be submitted in writing to be read aloud during the meeting. Comments to be read at the meeting must be submitted at least 24 hours prior to the meeting by email or to the clerk's office, 25 Lenox Avenue, and must be of a length that can reasonably be read within the time limit for public comments. You want me to do the roll call?
Please.
Mayor Sarah.
Here?
Council President Dewan.
Here.
Councilman Begg.
Here.
Councilwoman Kent. Here. Councilwoman Polidori. Here. Councilwoman Riker.
Here.
Councilman Brennan.
Here.
With us this evening is our Borough Attorney, David Rutenberg, and our Borough Administrator, Kevin Boyle.
Okay, would everybody please stand for flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
and justice for all.
In conformance with the Open Public Meeting Law, Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this meeting setting forth the time, date, place, and purpose of this regular meeting through notice posted on the bulletin board of the municipal building, mailed to all requested and paid for same, and published in the Suburban Trends. Okay, so I have a couple of presentations, and I'd like to bring both Haleys, which makes my life so much easier when you have the same name, up, if you don't mind coming up.
I'm bringing my phone. You want to take a picture? Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm just all off. Can't take you.
So both these girls took it upon themselves
That's it.
to collect plastic bags in town, and we received enough plastic bags, and it's a large number of plastic bags, we were able to get a nice track bench donated to us for free. So they did all the hard work, collecting all the bags. We had some sites open for them. We had one here in Borough Hall, and with that, we got a nice bench. So I'm hoping, and I see one of our firemen walking in, I'm going to try to put it over at the firehouse, if that's a place you would like to see it. So I think that's where we'll end up having it go. So with that, I have some recognition for you. Hallie Carroll, Girl Scout Troop 95381, in recognition of your outstanding environmental efforts and the donation of a Trex bench to the Borough of Pompton Lakes. Mayor Michael Sarah, Borough of Pompton Lakes, April 14, 2021. That's for you. Hallie Zach, Girl Scout Troop 95381, in recognition of your outstanding environmental efforts and the donation of a Trex bench to the Borough of Pompton Lakes by Mayor Michael Sarah, Borough of Pompton Lakes, April 14, 2021. Which girl can say? I'll leave it up to you. So why don't you tell us how many bags you actually collected? How many months did you do it?
We started in August and we finished in February.
Okay, it's a long time. And what did you bring them to one spot, or?
Yeah, we brought them to Home Depot.
So Home Depot did that. So we thank you for the bench. It's a beautiful bench. Thank you so much. Let's take pictures.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so one and then...
Great job, Bill. You girls can leave unless you'd like to stay for the whole meeting, which you're more than welcome to. I don't recommend it, but you can.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you. Now we emptied out the room a little bit. It's much better. Okay. I also have another recognition certificate to Michael Drazdek, our library staff and our library. A declaration of appreciation and pride celebrating and recognizing National Library Workers' Day, Tuesday, April 2nd, 2021, submitted by the Friends of the Library, members of the Pompton Lakes Book Club, Mayor Michael Sarah, Borough of Pompton Lakes, April 14th. Having used our library, we have a great staff there. You know, it's been a trying time over there with the library, and they've done an outstanding job. So we'll get that over to him.
Okay. Before I move on to our budget meeting, I'm just going to read on my COVID report. COVID numbers have been slowly stabilizing this week, but in the last couple weeks they've been a little rough, so just let me read my report. This was as of Wednesday. As of Wednesday, we had 27 new cases of the virus in Pompton Lakes. This is large part due to the fact that we are seeing more families or people living in the same household getting the virus. Numerous children are now testing positive, but have little or no complications with recovery. Local and state numbers are trending up. A single shot vaccination from Johnson & Johnson, which we all know has been changed as of yesterday, has been offered. This is all good news. Pompton Lakes has about 50% vaccination rate of its adult population. The county did a count, and so that's a pretty good number for Pompton Lakes being at 50%. I'd like to see it a little higher, but 50 is good. We continue to mourn the loss of the 14 residents who passed due to the virus complications. Our hearts and souls are out with their loved ones. Starting April 19th, anyone aged 16 and above will be eligible for a vaccination. Vaccine appointments can be anywhere in New Jersey, whether that be local at Wayne, county, Passaic, state, the mega sites, or selected CVS and Walgreens or hospitals. Take advantage of whatever you can get at this point. Passaic County vaccination site is the Plaza 46 Shopping Center, where the old Nodell's was on Route 46 in Woodland Park. Passaic County is getting roughly 1,500 vaccines a week. You can visit PassaiCCountyNewJersey.org for more information. The Health Department for Pompton Lakes and Wayne has a vaccination site at former Macy's and Preakness Shopping Center in Wayne. Last week, the state gave us 1,000 vaccines, which was a huge increase from the week before. The week before, we only had 300 to 400. To date, we have vaccinated over 6,000 Wayne and Pompton Lakes residents at this site. Please visit the Wayne Township webpage to try and book an appointment. Appointments open up on Fridays at 3 p.m. and fill up quickly. I can tell you that as of today, they did appointments there today. We did have some extra sites open today you could have called and gotten. So if you still want a vaccine and you want to be local about it, call over to Wayne, we get it. Indoor dining is now up to 50% of occupancy, or 150 people, lesser of 2. As of March, houses of worship and religious services can operate at 50% capacity with masks and social distancing. We are closer to the end than the beginning of this. Hang in there. The summer is looking better to get back to somewhat of a normal schedule. We are still hopeful for summer camp and Pompton Day. So that's our update on COVID. Let's not forget it's still out there. I think our residents have been responsible and doing a good job and doing what they have to, but let's not give up right at the end here and make things worse. Okay. Can I have a motion for the special improvement bid budget?
So moved.
Motion to open the meeting for public comments on 2021 Special Improvement District budget. Council President DeWine, can I have a second?
Second.
Second, Riker.
Councilman Begg, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address just this motion about the bid? I'm going to ask our bid manager, Rob, to step up in a minute just to go over in a second. Anything you want to bring up, whatever you want.
No, basically the budget is less than last year, simply because we gave a holiday to for the first quarter this year to try to help all the businesses. So we have a smaller budget than last year, but not by that much because we had some carryover money, so we should be okay. We hope that things start to open up and the businesses will be able to do better, especially the restaurants and, places where they have to sit inside. And we're trying to help as many businesses any which way we can. We've even paid for barriers again for whoever needs them. So if you know of a restaurant or business that wants to open up that has to put barriers, like Max has to, and they also have to do that at the, the A&P parking lot, then this bid covers that cost. So, we're hoping, with fingers crossed, but we're not so sure it'll happen. We have a concert series planned for this summer, but we'll wait and see what happens. Right now, we're just hopeful. If things stay as they are, we will not be able to have it. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I can just add that, they've been working hard the bid and trying to help the restaurants as best they can. Some restaurants really know what they want and have been asking for it. Others are kind of out there and don't really know what they want. Pretty much all our restaurants here in town have been doing well enough to stay, open for takeout and now open for outside dining. And I think the outside dining really does help them all. So, you guys okay over there? I think it does help them, and now, let's always remember, we have all those box stores on 23, 46, but we need to shop local. Shopping local is what keeps our downtowns moving, keeps people in business, and that's what we want. We don't want empty stores. So if you're gonna go out to dinner and you have a choice between going in local and sitting outside and relaxing, or going somewhere in a box store, nothing against box stores, but let's stay local as best we can. Any questions from the...
Since you brought it up, I'm hoping that the council will so see fit. Technically, when this is over, outside dining is not allowed, so maybe we can change or create an ordinance that will allow restaurants to permanently sit outside.
Yeah, that would be a zoning thing, we'd have to actually go
I
through the
know.
zoning board, but, it's something we'll talk about. I
Right.
think it can happen.
Yeah.
Certain places can, and maybe certain places, the county becomes their own worst enemy,
Yeah, I know.
so...
But we've heard feedback from the restaurants that a lot of the people that come in actually like to do the outside dining.
Sure.
And it's become popular, so it's just another way for them to have more seats, which means more business, which means more profit ultimately, or at least being able to stay in business longer.
I agree 100. Anybody have any questions? Well, we got a bid person here, if you have any questions about what's going on, now's a good time. Nope?
I had a comment, Mayor. that
Sure.
I know, towns like Ridgewood will close certain sections of the main street off on a weekend, during the summer especially, for restaurants that can do outside dining, so it could be something that we could...
We looked at it, the restaurants, unfortunately, were not interested in it, they didn't want to do it.
No, okay. I address that too?
Yeah.
We looked at actually closing down parts of Wanacue Avenue, figuring every which way we could possibly do it. We had some county support on one side as far as the marketing and the redevelopment, what have you, but the engineers squashed the whole thing.
Not us, the county.
Yes, the county engineers, not the town. And they absolutely told us we couldn't do it because the way the traffic flow is, and it's a county road, and, because we were hoping maybe one Saturday a month or one Sunday a month we could close down, Wanacue Avenue and have it just open, but we were told no.
So, we could always look at other places, but they wanted to be, we tried the Pond Hall, remember, we had talked about, nobody wanted to go back to the Pond Hall, they didn't want to set up back there, so they said it was too far to walk to do all their stuff. So, unfortunately, the county did give us problems up front, so. Okay, any other questions?
No?
Okay, thank you,
Thank you
Robert.
very much.
Motion to close the meeting for public comments.
So moved.
So move, Riker.
Oh, you had a question? Yeah, step up, on record. Raise that hand higher.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Evangelista Ringwood Court, Pompton Lakes. We had nice weather now for several weeks, and I get out mostly every day and walk the main street, either going to breakfast or lunch or whatever. Nothing, in my opinion, has been done on that main street as far as cleanliness.
About what?
Cleanliness.
Oh, cleanliness.
We know that everything is curb appeal. That's what we hear from the realtors, curb appeal, curb appeal. Well, town looks a mess right now. I hope that you walk the main street and see the same thing that I'm seeing. A lot of debris in the curb line. I know we had some pretty windy weather there for a while, but there's no excuse that shouldn't be followed up on. We're going to encourage people to come into that district and to visit those stores. That place has got to be clean. Unfortunately, someone was walking their dog the one morning on the sidewalk, so that was there, and I don't know who eventually dealt with it, but, we still have a street light missing on a pole in front of the avenue, just as you come in onto Wanacue Avenue here on the left side. Street light was hit, 2 years ago, and the light is still missing. Little things like that, if I see them, people will see them. And I know that, Randy always speaks for the seniors, and I know what your feeling is about that, but, in my dealings in town, I do get a lot of complaints just because I've been here a long time in town. The store on the corner, I won't mention the name, but the new store that's on the corner, a little grocery store, has Christmas paper lining the windows of the store. While right across the street, you have a beautiful, well-kept business that's attracting people from all over the place, including out of town. And I have to sit in the window, look out, and see the address written out on the window with the little letters you buy in the hardware store. And I thought the bid was supposed to address that. I thought signage was supposed to be identical. There was some kind of plan that was supposed to be followed. There were going to be entranceways to our borough You go up to Wanacue, go under the 287 overpass, you see a beautiful little park there on the side with the sign, welcome to Wanacue. That went out the window, I guess, a number of years ago, because I know they talked at length about that. I don't know what you call it, a welcome, there's a name for it. When you come into the town, it's just like a welcoming area that, you know, says, hi, welcome to Pompton Lake. So, the little things like that, I think, are being put aside. I know COVID dealt a big blow to everything, but there's no excuse for not having a clean Main Street. I don't know, they used to have the company come in and blow the street.
They still do, yeah, they still do.
I haven't seen that done.
Yeah, they come twice a month.
They've been here this year already?
I'll let Rob talk, but yeah, when you're done, I'll let him talk. But, so, let me just address a couple of things. I can tell you the bid does have a landscaper in twice a month to blow the streets and
Twice
the
a month.
sidewalks, yep. And then the county is supposed to be coming in, it's a county road, they're supposed to be taking care of it. They don't do that. We have a street sweeper that goes through, but it doesn't go through the downtown because cars are parked there, so he gets where he can. So, you know, I'll let Rob address if you increased or decreased the cleaning, I don't know. The welcome areas, they are working on a welcome area still on Harrisburg Turnpike. On the Wanacue side, they can't, that's all county property, we can't put anything there. But they are still addressing the one welcome area on the other side, I can tell you that.
My concern with the blowing of the sidewalks, twice a month is not enough. As many vacant stores as there are out there, there are as many, I think, you know, stores that are doing business. And most of them are food stores, where you have a generation of paper, cups, napkins. And again, and I brought this up to several people a number of times, including Dan, our superintendent. When they pick up garbage on a Tuesday, that garbage sits there Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And by then, the residents upstairs, and that was supposed to be taken care of by the
We've tried, it's very difficult, very, very
They're
difficult.
putting their garbage not only out next to the basket,
Yep,
but
no
on
question.
top of the basket.
No
So now the
question.
people coming by can't even put stuff in.
Yep.
It's got to be addressed.
We've looked at it, there's no way to address it. We've talked to the landlords, we've told the landlords you have to stay on top of your tenants.
Right.
But we can't find them, there's no fine unless the garbage is out early, but then we have to identify whose garbage it is.
Right.
Then that becomes an issue, because you have
I
to have someone
understand
go through the garbage. The businesses, for the most part, follow the rules. It's the people upstairs, unfortunately, that are not following the rules.
I understand that.
And that's the point, and I'm gonna let Rob come back up and talk,
Yeah,
but we've addressed that
absolutely.
a lot, about trying to figure that. So if someone comes up with an idea, well, listen, because we've sent letters, I've written a letter, actually, to all the landlords, explaining what has to be done. The bid has done that. You know, people either...
I have an idea.
What's that?
And I brought it out before. If we can't get them to comply and address the problem, then we got to take care of it. We got to pick that street up more than twice a week. We're picking that street up with garbage on a residential schedule. It's ridiculous. Those stores are open every day. Some of
It's
them...
not the stores, it's the residents.
I understand that, but it's still creating a problem for
But
the
then you have
stores.
residents saying, why are their garbage
That
getting
street
picked up
should
every
be
day?
picked, it's a business area.
Well,
We
that's the
want to
problem.
encourage business to come to town. That street should be picked up Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, just from the railroad tracks to the library.
We looked at that, but the problem, and I think the bid did a study on this, there's garbage out there every day.
I understand that, but at least if it was 3 days instead of 2, properly timed. You're going to empty them on a Friday before the weekend. You're going to pick them up on Monday after the weekend, and then once in between. And I know they don't want to hear it. I don't care.
No, that's
It's
not a
not a
big deal.
residential district. It's a business. If we're going to help the businesses as a borough, we should be picking that up.
We should,
We got
but
100 garbage trucks a day that go through our town.
But it is a residential
In both-
area also, and so you're gonna have some residents calling
I
and saying,
understand that.
why are they getting picked up more than me?
Well, then, let's deal with it with the residents. I, as a resident, have no problem with that.
I know, but there's some
Because
that do.
the healthier our main street is, the more attractive the town looks from a real estate perspective and everything else.
I agree. We could talk about
So we
that.
just, that's the place everybody,
I
they
could
don't
talk,
drive by my house and look at my garbage out front. They drive through that main street and they see garbage all over the place.
if the bid wanted that and requested that, that's something we would address, look at.
Why can't the bid pay Bloomingdale extra to come through there with their sweeper in the
Because there's
morning?
cars.
Yeah, but there's not, I understand there's cars, but if he comes through, I don't know what time he starts in the morning.
7:30, yeah.
All right, if he comes through, there's not a lot of cars out there by that time. A lot of businesses aren't open. Few of them are, but not a lot. So even if they did 3/4 of the street effectively, that's better than not doing anything.
Yeah, I don't know what...
And twice a month for this, blowing and sweeping the street. It's not
I'm
enough
gonna
in
let
that,
Rob, why don't you come up?
it's not enough in that busy district. And I want everybody to know, this is not a criticism. I am trying to help
Yeah, I get it.
people solve problems.
Al, at one time, they were doing it weekly.
It should be done
The problem
weekly.
is with the COVID, and they held back on, charging the
Right, I understand
businesses.
that. But things are opened up now, Bill. Things opened up. The first week of spring, there were people all over the place out there.
But that's still a problem. We'll get back to normal, and we'll go back to weekly.
And I have no issue. The DPW, we can, if that's something the bid wants, we can talk about a 3-week pickup. It's
Here's
not
what
a big deal.
I'm going to leave with this in summary. I would like you to take notice every day you drive up and down that main street of the garbage cans. They are all overflowing.
But they're I do.
They're all
every day.
overflowing.
Every day.
So let's get rid of them.
Well, you can't get rid of
Let's
garbage.
take them off the street,
You can't.
and then we can enforce it.
Yeah, but
Okay.
you gotta have garbage. We gotta get the garbage.
That's what I'm trying to, my point is, there's no solution to the problem. So
Correct.
let's just do it the best we can, eliminate.
Right, and I go with the guidance of what the bid wants, and the bid wants garbage cans right now, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, how you doing? Basically, I agree with about 80% of what Al said.
Sure.
So, because this is stuff that the bid has been pointing out and actually asking the town at times for help. Yes, we cut back to twice a month because of the budget constraints last year, and I tried to get it every week this year, and I got voted down in a joint meeting. But we're going to bring it up again, and I'll say the complaint came against the mayor and council because I would like him to see come every once a week. But once a week still is not enough, in our view, because we're coming on Mondays because that's the heaviest traffic time after the weekend, and the streets are the worst. Now, with the masks and gloves and stuff, you find more garbage on the street than we ever did in the past. The other thing that's also creating the extra garbage is everybody's doing takeout. But, very less people now eat in the restaurants than before. So they might hang outside the restaurant and eat, which we've seen people hanging out, and all the stuff goes in the garbage. So the amount of garbage that is being produced on the street is a little greater than it was in the past. So it's a double-edged sword. The other problem we have as far as like the street lights and what have you, we have no enforcement powers. And not that we're looking for any, but I know that one light bulb, the one, down by the apartments, that's been gone for a while. And I think I don't know why I even mentioned it to Dan O'Rourke, and they didn't have one in. It's something to do, I guess, at your end, Kevin, or the insurance company has to pay for it or something. So if we could look into that, that would be
Yeah,
great.
I don't know anything about the light, but if there's a light missing, we should replace it.
There's one light missing.
Yeah, we definitely should replace it.
It's been missing for like...
And I don't know why, I'll find out, Kevin, was it an auto accident or something? I don't know.
And I do know occasionally the lights on the street get hit by trucks and stuff.
Yeah, sure.
And it seems it's like 4 or 5 lights that always get hit repeatedly. It seems to be the same number of lights, and I think it's just the position where the light is.
So you have a bid meeting tomorrow, bring all this
No.
information to them. No,
Next
tomorrow,
week.
isn't it tomorrow?
Next
Oh, next week? Bring it all to them. If they would like to have 3 garbage picks up, then they
Oh,
should.
we'd love it.
Yeah,
I can tell you
it's
that
not
right
a
now.
hard thing to do. It's not
Right.
that time consuming. If they want less garbage cans, let us know that.
Right.
I had heard they don't want less garbage cans.
No, we basically don't because there's enough garbage produced. Yeah, it's always been a problem. We've even in the past sent letters to all the
Yeah, we've-
residents and the landlords saying you have to control your tenants because we've seen them. And then, unfortunately, I have to say also, we've seen some of the businesses come out on a Saturday night, dump all their garbage right on top of the can and fill the can. And now for Sunday and Monday, the can's full until they come and do a pickup on Tuesday.
Well, by
But
law.
that's not,
Yes, that's not.
the business shouldn't do that. They're supposed to technically carry it in the back.
But it's not, they're not breaking any laws doing that.
No,
All right, but, I can talk to Kevin and we can talk to Dan about a 3-time pickup if that's something you
Yeah,
want.
that-
That's
we
not a
would
big
love
deal. And you guys bring it back to your meeting about a cleaner area, and if you
Right.
want to talk about a street sweeper going through.
yeah, if we could get a street sweeper, that'd be great. Maybe they can come in at a slightly different time or something, or later in the day, or, I know that there's only a few times when the streets are somewhat less congested than others.
Okay.
All right?
All right, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, motion to approve the 2021 Special Improvement District.
Close the-
Oh, did I not close? I thought we did.
Yeah.
Motion to close the meeting for public comment.
So moved.
So moved, Riker.
Councilwoman Polidori, Councilwoman Riker. All in favor?
Aye.
Against. Motion to approve the 2021 Special Improvement District, the SID, budget for second reading and final adoption.
So moved.
Councilman Begg?
Second.
Councilwoman Polidori, roll call, please.
Do you want me to read the title?
You want to?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Authorizing adoption of the budget in the amount of $250,000 for the Special Improvement District in the Borough of Pompton Lakes for the year 2021. And now I'll do a roll call.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Begg?
Yes.
Councilman Deline?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kent?
Yes.
Councilwoman Polidori?
Yes.
Councilwoman Riker?
Yes.
Councilman Bang?
Yes.
Okay. We'll go to the budget?
Yep, you want to read
You
that
want me-
piece? Yep.
Okay. Adoption of the 2021 municipal budget resolution be it resolved by the Borough Council of the Borough of Pompton Lakes of the County of Passaic that the budget herein before set forth is hereby adopted and shall constitute an appropriation for the purpose stated of the sums therein set forth as appropriations and authorization of the amount of $10,295,375 for municipal purposes, $119,029 open space, recreation, farmland, and historic preservation trust fund levy, and $426,030 minimum library tax.
Okay, so we're going to talk about our town budget, which I thank the committee for doing a great job. We kept our numbers very low again this year. Our residents, to me, we have a lot of concerns in town, but the biggest concern by far is taxes. And we've done a good job in trying to keep them in place. I say that and remind everyone at home, we've kept the numbers the same, and we haven't cut any services. You know, we haven't cut back on anything that we're doing as a town. You know, some towns, it's been a tough year for them, and they've been cutting back on services. We haven't had to do that. So what I'm going to do now is open the meeting for public comments. We'll introduce our accountants to talk about it, and the committee if they want to say anything. Motion to open the meeting for public comments on 2021 municipal budget.
So moved.
Council President Deline?
Second.
Who's that? Councilwoman Kent?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay, you want to step up and give us our news?
Just briefly, every 3 years, the borough's budget is reviewed by the Division of Local Government Services.
I just need who your name and...
James Frillo, Borough Auditor. Well,
For the record.
Every 3 years, the division reviews your budget. They had some questions between Kevin and I. We satisfied them, so they gave the okay to adopt the budget. As you know, your budget has to be compliant with the 1977 spending cap law, which it is, and the 2010 tax levy law for the 2% cap, which it is. The tax levy between the open space, municipal, and library is up 0.4% over 2020. And I think Councilwoman Riker, has some comments also to make on the budget. if I'm not
Sure.
mistaken.
Terry, you have something to say you want on the budget?
No, quite frankly, at the last meeting, I did a budget overview, but at this point, really, I would just like to thank the auditor and Kevin and the two members of our council people on the committee, because we've been working very hard on this for the last couple of months, so thank everybody.
Kevin, I'm going to let you go in a second. I just want the public to understand, too, when we talk about open space and library, those are mandated by the state. We have no opt-in or opt-out of that. They're very small percentages. They're 1% for the library and 1% for open space.
Yeah, it's 1 penny for...
Yeah, it's 1 penny, okay. So those numbers go into a fund that we use as an open space. A lot of the nice projects that we'll be doing in town this year are coming through our open space budget. Our library gets funded through the library fund, which has been put in place, so those are mandated costs. I always have to remind the residents that we're in charge, the borough is in charge of about 19% of your tax dollars. So 19 cents of every $1, the borough is in charge of. The county roughly is in charge of 23%, 23 cents. The rest of that is responsible for that dollar is the schools. So the schools are responsible for about 62% of the budget. So I think we've been very responsible on the 19 cents of every dollar that we're spending here, and I'm going to let our administrator just go over the highlights of our budget.
Just a couple of things, Mayor. As Jim noted, we're probably less than 1% of an increase over last year. The average assessed home this year is at around $270,000, that mythical number we always talk about each budget season. To this point in time, the average assessed home of $279 will receive an increase of $25.79 for the whole year. That's how the math works out. That being said, again, as you mentioned, we didn't have to have any layoffs. For the most part, we're able to fund all of our programs going forward. The COVID-19 crisis did create some problems for us. We lost some revenue, we lost some variable base. We were able to do some budget maneuvers at the end of the year, try to save us from taking a hit on our surplus, and they help going forward. But it's the 10th year in a row in which our taxes have been less than $100. And I know a couple of years before I came, after Irene, people were paying a couple $100 a year. So for the last few years, it's around 20, 25, so we've been able to stabilize that without really having any real growth in the community. In terms of there's no real housing growth. Now with the development, that should help us significantly see some positive impact relative to that. Our tax levy also, as Jim noted, in our budget cap meets the state requirements, and our debt ratio continues to be under 1%. So we have a really good, solid debt ratio. We have a really good, solid cash surplus of just close to around $4 million, which is nice going forward. This budget also funds, besides normal operations and salaries and wages, it funds some improvements to the first aid squad building. The police department's going to be buying a first ever patrol boat for Pompton Lake, and that will also include a dock and things of that nature. We're going to be adding a new restroom to the first floor of the library. Some of that was funded through community development block grant money from the federal government. We're going to be doing a long stretch of Lincoln Ave down the south end this year with state-funded money. And of course, the big project this year is the pond hole project. The bids came in yesterday. They came in a tad higher than we had wanted to do that, so we're probably not going to do a local road program this year because I don't believe we want to spend additional debt service. We can just take that money with the pond hole. But I'm talking to a local contractor who asked how the bids turned out, and he bid on a project. He was actually the high bidder of all things, Mike Fitzpatrick. And he said the problem you have is that contractors still are very unsure what's happening out in the marketplace. They have a hard time getting particular materials. He said it's hard to get conduit to run electric lines. It's hard to get lights for parking lots. Stuff that we'll be looking to see in the pond hole are going to be maybe why those numbers were higher than we anticipated. That being said, that bid was received yesterday. We'll probably award that next meeting, and we'll start the process of developing that project. But all in all, again, when you look at where we live in relationship to New York City, and just the fact we're in a very metropolitan area, that alone will increase your tax levy to some degree because it's desirable to live here. I think $25 on the average house for a year, really pennies a month, is a good dollar value for what the borough of Pompton Lakes provides to our residents.
And let's just say, with everything he just said there, we also have an outstanding bond rating, which is very important. What's our rating now?
AA1?
AA1, which is the highest is AA plus, is that what it is, or AAA maybe? AAA. So we're right at the top of bonding, which is very important. You know, that shows you're a healthy town when you have a good bonding number there. So we've been, our administrator, our accountants, our whole team has been doing a great job in keeping that number at the same time trying to keep the taxes down.
What I'd just to do is say something, and like Mary's saying, for the resident, that means that when we go to the bond market, we'll be taking almost $4 million in notes in June. We'll get a better interest rate as compared to other communities that don't have the type of bond rating. So it really does play to our advantage in the bond market to have a very good surplus.
And then the last thing I'll say is, so I want everybody to understand, we're looking at a $25 for the year increase on the average assessed home here in Pompton Lake. That doesn't mean your taxes are only going up $25, because what I said before, the school is in charge of 60% or so, and the county's in charge. The county did come out with a flat zero this year, but their flat zero sometimes works into a little bit of an increase, the way things work out when they do the numbers. So even though we're doing a great job at $25, we're hoping, I can't speak for the other departments, I don't know what they're doing. So we can only speak for what we're doing, and that's $25. And then the last thing I'll say is, and our administrator touched on it, with all this redevelopment, we've been talking a lot about the redevelopment and what it does for the town, and we're hoping to stabilize our taxes with that. We have a very large project starting in another 6 months or so. I can tell you that that's bringing in the first year of the pilot program to the town $350,000. The taxes that we normally collected on that piece of property were around $27,000, $28,000. That's the first year. On the 30th year of the pilot, it's close to $1 million that we get a year. So that's why it's so important that you take advantage of these pilots. I'm never going to tell you your taxes are going to go down, unfortunately. I live in this town. I wish my taxes went down. Hopefully, we can stabilize the taxes with this work. That's where we're going with all this work. And it's a lot of work, and all the boards that are involved have spent a lot of time to do that. So with that, any questions from the council on the budget? No? Okay. Anyone from the public like to address the budget? I'm sorry. Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the meeting for public comments on the 2021 municipal budget?
So moved.
Councilwoman Palladori. Council President Devine. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion to adopt the 2021 municipal budget.
So moved.
Motion, Riker.
Councilman Begg, Councilwoman Riker. Roll call, please.
Councilman Begg.
Yes.
Councilman Deline.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kent.
Yes.
Councilwoman Polidori.
Yes.
Councilwoman Riker.
Yes.
Councilman Bang.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Jim.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay, motion to open the meeting for public comments.
So moved.
Council President Deline, Councilwoman Palladori. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address, please give us your name, address, and keep it to around 5 minutes if you can. Anyone from the public?
I think
You
David's
got your hand up? Come on, Ted.
Dave Sparnick, 107 Federal Hill Road. I was wondering, which I haven't heard Murphy mentioning over the year, which maybe other towns have opened their libraries, but I haven't noticed ours being open. Is ours open yet?
Our library is open, yep.
Oh, it is, okay, yeah, because I hadn't noticed it at all whenever I'm biking on this end of town, so it is open.
It's open, and we've done a lot of COVID improvements in there with a lot of the COVID funds we received over the years, so they've got the protection and the everything they need in there.
Okay, yeah, because I haven't even noticed it at all, but okay, so, what else do I got? Then I was watching one of the bid meetings on Zoom, which Bill knows I was in it, in the Zoom, and, they mentioned about the pond hoping being talked about getting ready to repave this summer, and I missed how much they said that's going to cost approximately.
We're going to present that next meeting, the number.
Next week?
Yep, next meeting.
At the bid meeting?
No, at the council
I have
meeting.
to answer this question.
Oh, you can if you want, sure.
Huh?
Right now, the low bidder is at $855,000.
$855? Wow.
You have to understand, we're not street paving, we're literally tearing the pound asphalt up, we're raising it 4 feet, we're going to drainage it, we're going to repave it, we're going to put parking kiosks in, all new lighting, so it's a major renovation of the pound.
Yeah, looks like it. And also, back in the day when I was living in Oakland with my parents, and then, so which I don't think it's happened in the 20 years in almost 20 years I've been living here. For trash collections, I used to live on the north end of Oakland, and then say every 2 to 3 years we had Monday and Thursday garbage collection in the south, and have Tuesday and Friday, then every 2 to 3 years then they would reverse it. So I know it's obviously too late to change in the calendar that we have now, because we got 2 months left in it, so maybe,
yeah, we
in the
found,
next calendar, maybe consider doing it, and so each, so both sides of town can have say my end of town could get Monday and Thursday, then the south could get Tuesday and Friday like I have now. Because in Oakland, we had it reversed every 2 to 3 years, so each side of town...
we find that it gets very confusing to the residents if they switch days, so we like to keep them the same. That way people know that they know what day their garbage is on.
Oh, okay,
Because if you have to change it all the time, people will get confused sometimes.
Yeah, because the town wanted each side to have a turn.
I know me, I would forget if you changed my day, so I'd have the wrong day to put the garbage out.
Okay. That's it for me for now.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address?
Good evening, Council. My name is Edward Lefty Grimes. With SativaCross.org. We're a 501c3 here in New Jersey, advocating for disabled rights and cannabis patients' rights.
I just need an address.
84 Hanover Road, East Hanover. And I'm up here a lot. I have cousins up here. I'm always up here for the summer. And I'm here to advocate for medical cannabis in your town. I understand there's a public meeting coming up soon, and I appreciate that you guys are trying to educate yourselves on the subject first before you make a decision. And I'd like to talk about medical cannabis. It's helped me greatly. In Morris County, there's no dispensaries. I have to drive a half hour. And I'd like you to consider the people in wheelchairs first. And I'm going to say something, and you're not going to be able to unhear it or unsee it. But when you see this one step, a step is a wall to someone in a wheelchair. And I see this all over towns everywhere, and I see it here in Pompton Lakes. What really triggered me today, because I'm Christian, was seeing the Catholic education place with no wheelchair access. And I'm told as a Christian to put the last first. The last have to be put first. And I was shocked to see that, so I walked around the back. And I saw there's a handicap parking spot in the back. I said, oh, okay, well, but there's no ramp. And I'm like, well, why didn't that get followed through on? I mean, they put a handicap parking place, but nobody followed through to make sure the person in a wheelchair can get into those stores. And that's what we need to do as Christians. I know there's Christians here. Why, there was a prayer that was supposed to be read at the beginning. Did I miss it, or was there no prayer read?
No, we don't do a prayer anymore.
They don't do it? Is there a reason why?
We just removed it.
I like that. I like that you had a prayer. And I'd like to say something about that. Genesis 1, chapter 29. God said, here I have given you every deadly pharmaceutical drug. Oh, no, God didn't say that. God said, here I give you every seed-bearing plant that is on the entire earth, and every tree with seed-bearing fruit. Let them serve as food for you, and to every wild animal of the earth, and to every flying creature of the heavens, and to everything moving on the earth, in which there is life. I have given all green vegetation for food, and it was so. And if you talk about Ezekiel 47, chapter 12, all sorts of trees for food will grow on both banks of the stream. Their leaves will not wither, nor will their fruitage fail. Each month they will bear new fruit, because the water from them flows from the sanctuary. their fruitage will serve as food, and their leaves for healing. And I believe in leaves for healing. I was on OxyContin and roxicodone and gabapentin and Valium for 10 years. I have an artificial disc, L405. I have a Fusion L5S1. Scar here is a 2-level cervical I had a couple years ago. They had me on 90 milligrams of Roxy every 3 hours. They were trying to kill me. It was very hard to get off of those drugs. I wasn't abusing them, but I was doing what my doctor told me, and I was actually killing myself with these drugs. And it was not easy getting off those drugs. It took me 10 months. And at the time, I didn't realize that I could have been using tinctures and oils and even suppositories to get off that. And it made it easier on myself. But no, I made it harder. I just tried to smoke a big bag of weed, and that made it harder. And it took me 4 times. I wound up in the fetal position on the floor 3 times. The 4th time, I finally did it. I titrated down from 90 to 45 to 30 to 15 to 4, and I got off those pills. And I was afraid 2 years ago when I had the cervical fusion that I'd be back on opiates again. I was like, I don't want to go back on opiates. I was a mess. I was a zombie. I was drooling. I didn't like the way it made me feel. So when I had this cervical fusion, I got suppositories. I got cannabis tinctures. I got edibles, and I made it easier on myself. And I took 0 opiates for this. 0. I shocked myself. I didn't think I would do it. And that's the power of God right there. God's medicine it helps so many different conditions. It helps so many different people. And I wish that you consider medical in your town. And this is a horrible thing, but I call it a wheelchair tax. It's a 2% wheelchair tax that they're putting on us. A cancer tax. A tax on multiple sclerosis. A tax on our diseases. It's an inevitable tax, but if you're going to tax us, please give us representation for that taxation and put wheelchair access in everywhere. That's all we ask. One step is not a bad fix. The hardware store has a step, 2 steps, one step, which is a fixable problem. The edible arrangements has a couple steps, but they're all fixable problems. It doesn't cost a lot of money. It's a bag of cement, really. And if you spent the day in a wheelchair, you'd understand how hard it is to get around in a wheelchair. We can't get our medicine. Someone in a wheelchair doesn't have money to go in and get an Uber and then go get their medicine. That's an additional charge.
All right, so you got about a minute, but we're listening.
So, just please consider the sick and the dying when we talk about this. And we'll talk again more, and I'd love to talk more about this with you. The person that started this 501c3 last year died of cancer. And he used to go to these council meetings with us. Yeah, chemo bag strapped to him. That's how important this was to him. And to fight for other people that are in their beds right now, suffering in bed. And as Christians, let's put the last verse. And I'm going to read something from 100 years ago. They went with songs to the battle. They were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady in the glow. They were staunch to the end against odds uncounted. They fell with their faces to the foe. They shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Thank you.
Thank you for your information. Like you said, we will be having a in-person meeting on marijuana in the next 2 weeks, and, we welcome input from anyone, and that's why we're having the meeting, so the council and myself can get educated and see what we want to do with that. So, thank you for your words. Anyone else from the public like first? Please step up.
Good evening, Mayor, Council President, Council. My name is Hugh Giordano, Blackwood, New Jersey. I'm here as a representative of the United Food and Commercial Workers Union, UFCW, Local 152.
Just need an address, too.
Oh, I'm sorry, 57 Argyle Avenue, Blackwood, New Jersey.
Where?
Blackwood, New Jersey, sorry. I'm here as a representative of the United Food and Commercial Workers Union. UFCW is a national labor union of 1.3 million hardworking families across the United States, Canada, and the territories. We are the official labor union which represents cannabis workers, both adult use and medical, from seed to sale. And I want to thank Pompton Lakes for having this conversation, being open-minded. I want to thank Councilman Bennon and Councilwoman Riker. I read an article where they were open-minded to cannabis, and I think that's great. And I want to thank you for that, because it provides good jobs. In New Jersey, we have the strongest labor law in cannabis around the country right now. Currently, Connecticut, Virginia just took our labor law and passed cannabis, and they used our labor law. So we're ahead of the times here. So what does that mean? Union wages, good benefits, sick time, vacation time, paternity pay, retirement, and just basic work rights. A lot of the workers that work in cannabis are workers that have degrees in horticulture, botany, chemistry, and even the front end where the dispensary is, it's folks with PhDs, there's folks that are pharmacists. So these are not hippie stoners as HBO and Hollywood has.
I just got left, because are you saying there's guys selling marijuana? And I'm not saying because it's marijuana, but they have PhDs?
Yes.
You would think they'd maybe be doing something else, I would hope.
The reality is these pharmacists and folks that have doctorates are making $100,000 a year.
Okay.
So it's real money. The average dispensary makes between $20,000 to $30,000 a day right now in the medical program, and that's only with 106,000 registered cannabis patients. Imagine when it's opened to the public, the amount of tax revenue that come in, the 2% tax. Mr. Grimes is right. That tax can go towards other things. I see this as a very family-oriented town. I looked at your census; it's a working-class town. Per capita income is $34,000, with males making females making around 50,000, and males making about $10,000 more than that. So there's an opportunity here for growth of a working class, for women to get involved, especially in New Jersey, where we have Stockton and Rutgers that are investing heavily in cannabis. We're working with those universities to create an official union apprenticeship program. So just like carpenters and iron workers and steel workers, these workers are treated just the same way. They're no different. They're no different. The other thing on top of that is the building trades are also involved. In the New Jersey law, there's project labor agreements in there. So IBEW, carpenters, steam fitters will be building these places as well. So the folks that live here that are union members will be getting those jobs. And that's good for the local economy. Also, that tax money can go towards your Main Street, which I heard. I drove up, it's actually you have nice buildings there. You really do, and it's a lot of opportunity here. Cannabis is not a cheap commodity. Very expensive, more expensive than alcohol. So the folks that you'll be attracting have to have cash. There is no credit with this. So you'll attract a different type of residents also who want to live here and raise a family because they're all educated. What I would suggest is check out the Bayonne ordinance. Bayonne did a great job. They went through, they looked at the different stats, and it's a very conservative ordinance for being such a big city. They're only allowing 2 facilities in the whole city, which is crazy, but at least they're making the effort. And in that, they have standards, environmental standards, labor standards, community standards. What have they done in Colorado? What have they done in California? Have they been good to those communities here? You have the power to decide that. You also have the power to decide if you want a dispensary, what type of dispensary do you want? Do you want them to only sell flower, to only sell edibles? You have that opportunity to do that. The law gives a lot of power to townships to make these decisions. And I would suggest that you please look at the Bayonne ordinance. I would also suggest if you want to go on a tour, the Garden State Dispensary, which was the first, the reason I would offer this one was because it's the first one to go union out of the original 6, since John Corzine signed it into law many, many years ago. I've been involved for a long time in this. I would suggest that you come on a tour. Check it out from seed to sale. Look at the workers. Look at the process. Look at the security. Look at how it's ran. It's more efficient and more secure than I would CVS or Rite Aid will ever be.
You've got about another minute.
Okay, great. So in closing, I would please suggest that you allow cannabis, whether it's adult use or medical. I would also ask that when you do your ordinance, that you put these standards into your ordinance. Make these employers work to come into your town. Make sure on day one that they're going to pay a good wage. Make sure on day one that when they decide to operate in here, that the build-out will be done by union trades labor. And make sure from that point, from seed to sale, that they're going to be unionized, treat people good, make sure that there's a way for economic value for the community here, and they will do that. We have good employers that I know are not only just multi-state employers, but small business operators that would love to do a good thing for Pompton Lakes. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And P.S. your bathrooms are really cool. The fact that you have to wave your hand and the door's open, that's pretty cool stuff.
Federal funding.
Pretty cool.
What's the name of the union?
United Food and Commercial Workers Union. It's UFCW, Local 152. I'll leave my business cards.
Yeah, live with the perk. Okay, that's fine.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your update, and I'm going to say the same thing. We're going to have a public session. This council does want to get educated, so we're going to, get educated on what we want to do. This is not an easy decision, as you guys are both aware, I'm sure. There's noise on both sides. So, that's why we're going to have the meeting and see where we go from there. So thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session?
So moved.
Council President Devine,
So moved.
Councilwoman Kent. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay, we have no bills and claims. Consent agenda, does anybody need a consent agenda removed?
A minute.
Oh, I'm sorry, did I miss minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Approval of minutes, can I have a motion to approve the following minutes? Regular meeting minutes of March 24th.
So moved.
Council President Devine? Can I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Bennett, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Petitions, consent agenda, anybody need anything removed?
Can I have number 8 and number 11 moved?
8 and 11. Anybody else? Okay, Liz, whenever you're ready.
8 and 11?
8 and 11, yes.
Whereas the mayor and council of the borough of Pompton Lakes have reviewed the consent agenda consisting of various proposed resolutions, and whereas the mayor and council of the borough of Pompton Lakes does desire to remove resolutions for individual action from the agenda, now therefore be it resolved that the following resolutions on the consent agenda are hereby approved. Resolution 21-118 through 21-129, and we're going to remove Resolution 21-125 and 21-128.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the resolutions?
Motion.
Councilman Begg?
Second.
Councilman Bennett, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Against? Okay, resolution 21-125.
Resolution 2125, authoring an application to local finance board pursuant to state statute in connection with the issuance of $500,000 non-recourse redevelopment area bonds, Pompton Lakes Downtown Redevelopment Project.
Kevin? Go ahead.
As part of your agreement with the redeveloper Meridian, you also agreed to apply to local finance board for them to pretty much have a $500,000 non-recourse redevelopment bond. What happens is it's not a bond like we would sell. That basically raise places this bond out in our name, and they will basically buy the bond and utilize it to buy down some of their core obligation, basically. So right now it's 10%. I think they do this bond, they do 7 or 8%. So as part of the ordinance you approved, this is one of the things we must do. So what's going to happen now is now through this resolution, we will send it to the local finance board. Same time, the developer will provide us with all the information relative to the bond. It'll go to our bond counsel, which they'll pay his fee to review, and then when local finance board meeting is scheduled, the borough must then present its reason why it wants this bond. So we're actually supporting the developer's bond for local finance board.
Right, so
it's not our money.
we're putting no money out.
It's not our money, it's not our debt.
Okay.
But
we have to do the approval process through them. They do all the actual work, but it has to go through our bond counsel.
Okay, so we're basically a sponsor for their bond.
But they use our bond counsel to approve it. But we don't put any money out, it doesn't come off our bond ratio, it has nothing to do with us.
Okay.
They take it, usually they sell it to somebody to buy down their costs a little bit, but that's all internally between them.
Got it, okay.
Any other questions on that resolution? Okay, 11, yes. Okay, Liz.
Resolution 21-28, award of a bid for body cameras for the Pompton Lakes Police Department to Axon Enterprises under Sourcewell contract in the amount of $245,261.
Yeah, we have to, by law now, supply body cameras.
Yeah, I understand that part, but I noticed, I think on April 9th, there was an article in the Star-Ledger talking about this $58 million grant program the state's releasing.
we've already applied.
So I guess the question is, I'm trying to figure out, are we pushing the cart or are we pulling the cart?
No, because,
Question.
as we understand it, the chief has been part of these meetings, the state's not going to fully fund this process.
Okay.
This is going to be state mandate, state made you pay. Bottom line. Because I think they feel it's going to happen is based upon the number of officers in the community, based upon the amount of money in what the state's going to pay. It's going to be a fraction of that. So eventually, we might see $45,000 or $50,000 or $60,000 off of this debt.
Out of this entire amount.
And I'll go back toward our capital bonding issue. But so what we're doing now is we're putting up the money to buy these things by the June 1st deadline, required by the Attorney General's office. At the same time, it's a 5-year program, so we're not paying this all at one time, we're paying this over a 5-year period. The bond that is next is $100,000 that buys down the first year both the body cameras and the in-car cameras. So then next year, your out-of-pocket costs in terms of capital costs have been greatly reduced.
Okay.
So we're trying to make it either way.
Right, so I'm just trying to understand that us basically awarding this contract prior to the issuance of the award of this grant isn't necessarily going to make us ineligible for reimbursement towards the grant.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Okay, we're good?
That's it, yeah.
Okay. Okay, can I have a motion to approve ordinance 21-125 and 21-128?
So moved.
Councilwoman Polidori?
Second.
Councilman Begg, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay, first readings.
This ordinance will be presented for second reading and final adoption on April 28th. Ordinance 21-17, ordinance providing for the acquisition of new and additional equipment for use by the Police Department of the Borough of Pompton Lakes in the County of Passaic and appropriating $100,000 therefore from monies in the Capital Improvement Fund of the Borough.
Motion to approve ordinance 21-17 for introduction.
So moved.
Council President Devine, Councilwoman Kent, was that Councilwoman Kent? Councilwoman Polidori. You want to...
Yeah, let me explain a couple things here. As I just mentioned, this $100,000 is going to buy down the first year of the payments. This is a lease to buy, so under state bond, you can do a lease to buy through capital ordinances. What we're doing here, though, this is not appropriating any debt service. Capital has its own budget process. So unlike the regular budget, capital is different. Capital has ways you can actually have capital cash. You have it through capital improvement fund and capital surplus. Right now, we use our capital, some capital surplus last year to some other projects. The capital improvement fund, every year, we put $110,000 in the budget to pay down as down payment for our bonds and notes. We never use all of that. So every year it rolls into the capital improvement fund as basically surplus for that purpose. So we're using that $100,000 right now to buy down this cost without incurring debt. Next year, you're going to incur some debt, but you incur one less year of debt. And then, of course, if whatever the grant is, they'll come and reduce that overall expenditure down the road, too. So this is a non-debt ordinance through the capital improvement fund.
Okay. Did I have an introduction? I did that. Did I do an introduction? Yes. Okay, roll call, please.
Councilman Begg?
Yes.
Councilman Devine?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kent?
Yes.
Councilwoman Polidori?
Yes.
Councilwoman Riker?
Yes.
Councilman Bennett?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Under my report, we had a first pre-construction meeting for the big project downtown, 212 units going in the back of, kind of to the right of the bond hall. So the pre-construction meeting, they're hoping to take down the buildings in the next 2 months and then start their permitting process, which could take a couple months. You know, there's still some things they have to work out with the county and with ourselves, but the project, they hope to close on the properties in the next week or two. Once they close on the properties, you know, we're moving forward with this deal. Separate from that, as Kevin has mentioned, we're redoing the pond hall. Now, I've been on council up here on the dais for over 10 years. Every year, we've talked about redoing the pond hall because it's a problem. It's sinking, it's not right, you know, and every year it gets pushed to the next year, it gets pushed to the next year. Probably if we did it 10 years ago, it would have been half the price we're paying now, but we didn't do that. So, we are biting the bullet, and we're redoing the whole pond hall. So, we decided to, when we're redoing this, as Kevin mentioned, we're gutting the whole pond hall out completely, taking 4 feet of dirt out, redoing all the lines underneath it, putting it all back in, and then putting in parking meter stations, lights, new lighting down there, new concrete barriers with covers and things. It's an expensive proposition, but it needs to be done, because we can't keep having a public parking that can flood. It's just not reasonable. So that's why we're doing this. It just so happens it's timing out the same time this developer's going to start developing. So it is something we're going to have to keep an eye on, address, That came up in our discussions yesterday about how that'll work, and, you know, we don't want to pave a brand-new pontoon, and then a developer goes in there and starts building next to it. So it's something we're going to have to work on and keep on. You know, we're spending a lot of money to make that work, so that's the one thing. I did take a tour of the aides from Congresswoman Cheryl's office, with Council President DeLine and Councilwoman Polidori. They have a new person in charge of their flooding federally, and the FEMA and all those things, so she wanted to get a tour. And the interesting part is, she's in Washington, she spends most of her time in Washington, but she's from Wyckoff. So she kind of understood what's going on down here, but she hadn't seen it firsthand. Very impressed with the fact that we have this big Army Corps of Engineer dam in our town that does all the good or bad, depending how you look at it, how it works. And she got a feel for what we're trying to do. But she was very impressed with the idea that we've been pushing very hard to clean our rivers of debris and build up in silt. And she saw the work that we've done in the last 2 years and was impressed with that. And was wondering why the other towns wouldn't be on board with doing that, if you could clean it all the way down from here, all the way down to the bay. So that's something she's going to push in, and all of us had suggested to her that, you know, would help if she could streamline the process of applying for these permits, which is very time-consuming. A lot of towns don't want to even do it, because you have to apply for all these crazy permits from the DEP. So stay tuned for more information on that. I reached out. Unfortunately, the EPA is now involved with our cleaners downtown. The DEP has walked away from the site and basically said, we are not going to take care of it. It's EPA's equipment, and it's in their hands now. That's probably not the best thing in the world, because that becomes a fund that could sit there forever. So in talking with the EPA, my question to them is, what happens when the building deteriorates to the point where it's unsafe to be up anymore? Something has to be done with the property. You can't let a building collapse on itself, even though it's a site that hasn't been cleaned. So I'm waiting for an answer. If I can get an answer, what I'm trying to get them to do is let us tear down the building, do a little remediation of the dirt, cap it with some pavement, and just leave it as an open space park. You know, I can't promise that'll happen, but we're trying. The other thing I want to mention is behind the hardware store, there's that hut, you know, that auto hut that's been down there for 20, 25 years. It's been all closed up. We're doing environmentals on that right now. If they come back clean, we're going to take that down completely and maybe put a little sitting area there or something near the river, and nothing fancy, but we want to get rid of that building. It's been there a long time. Again, it's a bad building. Unfortunately, it was a mechanic shop, so we don't know how the environmentals are going to come back on that. The river work will start again in April. He's getting prepared to start the work. June, I'm sorry, June. In June, he'll start the river work and continue where he left off on the Wanacue River, working his way all the way down. So, you know, I will tell you, a couple of the fishermen stopped me, because I kind of live near the river there, and said, boy, it looks really great, but I don't know where my fishing hole is anymore. He said, because there used to be certain swirls that go around off certain areas, and now it's hard to find them. I said, well, I guess you'll have to find new fishing holes. And the last thing I have is the addling of the eggs has been going on this last month. This is the time the geese are out laying their eggs. We've addled, I think, about 106 eggs right now. The residents have been pretty good and been calling us and saying, look, I have a nest on my yard, could you come over and addle it? The more addling of the eggs we do, the less geese that populate the town. And it's been working, because I can tell you, I've been doing it now for 10 years. The first couple of years, we would see the same nests from year to year in the same spots. The last couple of years, those nests aren't there anymore. And I'll give you an interesting one. The trellis, where the train goes over behind on Ringwood Avenue there used to always be a nest right there. She would lay her eggs right almost on the trellis. I mean, the trains had to hit her nest almost. There wasn't a nest there this year, which is the first time. So it takes time. It takes a long time, but it's working slowly, and those volunteers are a great group of people. They go out on their weekends and days just in these 2 months looking for nests, and it sometimes can be a little dangerous, because those geese are not happy sometimes to see what's going on there. So we'll keep you posted on that. And that is my report. Council President DeWine.
Thank you, Mayor. Couple things that have been going on from my side is I've been just sitting on some webinars. A lot of it has to do with the cannabis ordinance. I do want to thank the couple individuals that came in and shared their perspective on the state law and what we have to do here in town. In addition to that, I've met with Mike Corelli. As people know, Mike Corelli and I have worked very closely on our efforts with Sustainable Jersey. Even while we're certified for the I'm going to take this off for a second. Even while we're certified at silver level for the next 3 years, we want to be diligent, so we're looking again at some actions, this year, and then not only that, but we're, you know, as I think most people know, Michael is, Paul Corelli's son, who's the mayor of Riverdale. Michael just bought a house in Riverdale, so congratulations to him. But he's also involved in Riverdale's Sustainable Jersey actions. So we're talking about opportunities for our two communities to work together on these things. Right now, it's just some ideas, but I'll be sharing them with the council as the year goes on, because I think if we're able to combine efforts on a number of things, I think it'll benefit both of our towns. Secondly, I've just been doing some follow-on work with some of the aging in place initiatives, the study that New Jersey Future came out with. Again, we're just trying to keep that momentum going with the work that we did. And it's probably a little bit too premature to talk about what are the things we're looking to do, but I feel very positive in the direction that we are going, and as I have more details, I'll share with the rest of the council and the public on that. And then lastly, I just want to thank our CERT volunteers that have been spending their time at the Wayne vaccination site. As the mayor's mentioned, the Wayne site, people in Pompton Lakes and Wayne are eligible to get their vaccinations through the township of Wayne. My wife just went through last Wednesday, went to the old Macy's. She had nothing but raving remarks about the professionalism of the people who were there, the flow, very efficient, it was very well run. So, again, you know, thank you. Not only are we benefiting from this, but, you know, with our CERT volunteers and other people, you know, we're participating in this process too. So I just want to thank them. And lastly, this month is National Poetry Month. The Friends of the Library are having a poetry blast tomorrow from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. via Zoom. The details are on our Pompton Lakes Library website. Participants, if they want to attend, can either read their original work, they can choose a poem of their choosing, and I guess they have some presentations too by some celebrities that are going to be reading poetry as well. So if you're interested, I'll log into Zoom tomorrow evening, and they'll be doing that. And that concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Now, I usually stop down on the site on Wednesdays just to see how things are going. And let me tell you, they run a good site down there. They really do. They get you in and out in 5 minutes. They have it very organized. I thank our CERT team for being part of that. But, you know, I'm glad that we are part of that health department to be able to use that where we don't have to go somewhere else to look. So I thank them for that. And on the end of the day, you get a pretzel when you leave, so you can't beat that. The one thing I forgot to mention in my report that you reminded me of, and I mentioned it to the gentlemen that are here, you know, I'm getting a final date down for the marijuana discussion that we'll be having. We had decided to do it in person, not on Zoom, and we felt that there would be too many people in the Borough Hall to do it, so I'm trying to tie down the school auditorium. Hopefully, it should be in the next 2 weeks. As soon as I get a firm date, I will let everybody know, but hopefully will be in about 2 weeks. Okay, Councilwoman Kent.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. You know, this month is Environmental Earth Day and Environmental Awareness Day, so one of the projects that we were doing was we were very lucky this year to have two wonderful young ladies that came in earlier, and the mayor and council awarded them an Environmental Excellence Award, because what they did, and I just read this really quickly, that Haley Carroll and Haley Zach, they're 13-year-old Girl Scouts, and in order for them to get their silver award, they conducted a town-wide environmental recycling project, which they collected unwanted plastic bags with the intent to recycle them into an outdoor bench. So this bench here is a Trex bench, and it was, I guess, made with recycled bags that people don't want anymore. They needed at least 500 pounds of plastic bags, which they collected 1,070 pounds. And they took and twice a week they came through the town. They had 3 locations where they had these collection areas. One was the public library, one was senior housing, and the other one was the Pompton Lakes Post Office. And they picked them up twice a week, and they brought them over to Home Depot. And Home Depot held all these bags for them until they collected enough. And once they collected the amount, which was actually over, Home Depot sent that over to Trex. So that's an amazing project for two young girls, and and the town has now benefited from it because we got a really nice bench that we're going to put with the fire department, or...
Al, would you be interested in this bench by your building anywhere?
There's a possibility, yes.
All right, let me know if you want it, because I'd like to be more safe where, someone's not going to pick it up and dump it, so.
Yeah, there's a little plaque there that they donated it to the town. It's very, very nice.
Let me know.
Okay. The people on our Environmental Protection Committee, they sponsored this and asked the mayor and council to award that environmental awareness. So I want to thank the mayor and council for doing that, and I want to thank our clerk, Liz Bransness, for putting that beautiful award together. It was a really nice looking award. As far as the Environmental Protection Committee, we are going to have a new chairman. He's sitting he's been very patient, sitting out in the audience, Steve Bagg. Any relationship to somebody else, I'm not sure, but Steve has stepped up now, and he will be voted on hopefully at the next meeting. Okay, so I want to thank Steve for stepping up, and he has a wealth of knowledge about environment and trails and just dealing with all kind of environmental projects through his teaching career. So I want to thank you very much, Steve, for coming out and being a part of that group.
Thank you.
Okay. I attended the 2 Board of Ed meetings. They're going through their budget process now, so we'll see what that goes on. And I wanted to also thank the bid for our, just to go back to the environmental, the bid has offered to pay for 38 shirts for the river cleanup program that the town runs. Good. So they designed the whole shirt and it's beautiful. And we used it once before, and special thanks to Valerie Cole, she's a bid member, and I believe she's the artistic designer of the shirt. So, in a part of that program, because we didn't have a physical program last year, we did the pledge. I think there is a lot of garbage and a lot of plastic and debris and plastic cups and, coffee cups in the open space areas. I would agree with Mr. Evangelista for his comments. So if you have locations, or we can send the group, the volunteers during the river cleanup, because we clean up anywhere and everywhere. I just need the location. So Al, if you have places, I know, over by the falls, pretty much wherever there's a store, you're going to have a lot of garbage. It's unfortunate, it's just kind of the way it is. And then some of the major roadways, it's just they fly off the trucks, they come out of the cars. I think people still litter. They come off your garbage, garbage cans. So we have to deal with it. We deal with it as a community, and I look forward to getting some locations of where we need to focus. So thank you, Al, if you can give me that. I attended the open space meeting, and I'm very proud to be a part of that whole project and getting those docks in. I was down there today. The kids love the playground equipment, and it's really a beautiful park, and it looks really, really nice.
It does.
And daffodils make it even prettier, so I'm very proud to be a part of that. And our Take the Pledge is still, and that's to keep our waterways clean. We're still going to be doing that as well, and that also goes, all of this environmental program that we put together all goes to our CRS coordinators, and it's a part of our CRS program. So this one little program fits a lot of different shoe sizes, so I'm very happy to be a part of that. And Steve will be now heading that whole process up as the chairman. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. I could just add to that I got an email from Senator Corrado, who's our senator here for the state. She is also unhappy with the litter that she sees on the highways, and she would like to, she's taking a list, but in her email she sent me, she is asking, please respond with the name and locations of roads within your town that you would like to be cleaned up. I will pass requests along to the New Jersey Department of Transportation. Now, I'm taking that as any roads, so I'm going to give her a list of most of the county roads in our town, and if she can get people down there to clean it, that's even better. Unfortunately, we don't really have any state highways, but I can at least give her county roads. So, with both you guys, I'm just letting you know that. I'll add that to the list.
Mayor, if you drive down 287, it's atrocious.
Yeah.
Atrocious.
And I think that's why she's doing it, so.
Actually, they just cleaned that up on the last stretch.
No, did that?
along there.
Okay, thanks. Councilwoman Polidori.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to start out by commenting on something that Mayor Sarah had mentioned in his opening remarks about shopping local and supporting our small businesses. I've noticed in the last year, fundraising has been tremendously difficult for all of our nonprofit groups and our volunteer organizations, school groups, committees, religious organizations, and I have noticed that there's been a big increase in a tremendous partnership in some of our local businesses and the sport organizations, religious community groups, and so forth. And they're being done in the form of dine and donates. So if you are shopping local and if you are eating out anyway, there are a few a week. So I think just tonight we had 3 alone. The Women's Club held one in partnership with Monica's. I believe one of the elementary school classes had one in partnership with Wendy's. So, the businesses have been struggling, and this is our time to support them so that they can, in fact, turn around and continue to support our organizations that keep our community so strong. So please continue to help out and dine local and keep your money right here in town whenever you can. A reminder that on May 3rd, the MUA will be performing their spring hydrant flushing. So from the hours of 12 a.m. to 6 a.m., you may notice a slight discoloration in your water and possibly a decrease in water pressure.
Please don't call me. I get a lot of calls that their water is brown, so tell them to call the MUA.
So that will be, again, May 3rd, spring hydrant flushing. And some updates on open space. Along with Councilwoman Ken, the Open Space Committee has been incredibly busy in the last few months, and we have completed, started, continued a tremendous amount of projects, and work is getting done quickly. And that is by the efforts of all of the volunteers that come out and the liaisons from the different committees that really put a lot of time and effort into bringing these projects to fruition and seeing them through. So it is an amazing group. And there was a notation here that at the last meeting, we discussed funding from the open space budget. I believe before I was the chair for the group, there was a commitment made of $100,000 to be moved toward the Willow Field project, which I do think we're now looking to start next year, the beginning of next year.
Sometime in 2022.
Okay, so the discussion had taken place at some point in 2019, but was never formally put to a vote, so we did do that, so I will relay that to you.
Okay, so I'd like to add, do a straw vote right now, just so everybody's aware, that Open Space has recommended to the council a cost of $100,000 to go towards Joe Grill Field from the Open Space Fund. So I'm just going to take a straw poll now, if you're okay with that idea, spending open space money. I'll start with that.
We need to make a formal resolution.
No, I don't think we do.
What?
Do we have to make a formal?
We have to do a formal vote on this
No, I don't think so.
expenditure of open space.
Somewhere.
I don't think we do.
None of the appropriated.
Yeah. So that's why I'm doing a straw poll, just to make sure everybody's...
Well, the money can't be appropriated by the Open Space Committee. They don't
No,
have the
no,
power
it's-
to, they make the recommendation.
It's in our account already, yeah.
Okay, but the council's already voted in favor of this then.
No, we haven't yet. That's what I'm saying, we haven't. So, are you okay with the $100,000 for open space?
Yes,
Bill?
yes.
Yes. Ken?
Yes.
Maria?
Yes.
Okay, so let it be noted that the...
Terry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Terry. Terry?
Yeah, Mayor, I thought before we start recommending for open space monies, isn't there supposed to be some kind of strategic plan in terms of how we're going to spend it and
No,
have a global
yeah.
plan, not just...
No, a plan's been done already. The cost is well more than $100,000. It's almost $450,000. We have county open space money of $300,000, $100,000 from the open space, of the local open space. The engineers have already put a plan together, and it's going out to bid, actually.
No, that's not my point.
What's your
My point is, if we're talking about approving open space funds, my understanding was that we put together some kind of wish list and then prioritized it.
No, it's usually the open space makes a recommendation to the council.
Okay, so then I'm going to say it in a different way. I don't really think, I'm not disapproving of this per se, but I don't think going forward, how much money is left in open space?
A lot.
I know it's a lot.
What, you know the
That's why I'm
number,
asking
Jen,
the question.
offhand, or Kevin?
Well, right now, there'd be $200,000 left in the open space account after you take into account this $100,000 for...
So after we pay for the docks and the 100,000 to Joe Grill, there's still 200,000 with another 120 coming in, January.
So what I'm really asking us to do as a group going forward, and I'm sure it's going to start with open space, but open space, I feel, needs to put together a strategic plan to say this is our wish list, these are our dreams, these are our expectations, these are our hopes. We're talking about approximately $300,000. And we should have a plan for it, and so, I'm not challenging the $100,000 for Joe Grill, but I'm saying, what else is out there, what else do they want, so that we as a council can do this in a systematic way, not just each time they come and say, well, we've got money, let's spend it. That's really what's concerning.
That's not, I want to let Councilman DeWine, Council President DeWine, because he was part of that decision, so go ahead.
So, I think, Terry, I think you're looking for the broader plan, and it's not just the prioritization of projects, which the borough sort of has through the open space and recreation plan that was created a few years ago, and I think we've talked about updating it again. So there is that broader perspective of here are all the things that we want to accomplish from an open space committee. So it's not being done necessarily in a vacuum. It may not be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of thing each year, but that provides the broader planning overview of what the committee wants to spend the money on, and then focuses on sort of that project level specific cost, which you can't really anticipate at the planning level.
Well, what I am requesting, since you're very involved in this, and there are several others, that in the next month or two, as part of the package that we get for our council meetings, put together some formal lists so we can see. Okay, Kevin has made it clear that we're looking at approximately $300,000 remaining money. I'd like to have some strategic planning. That's all I'm asking for.
Right, but that's...
We've already, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Jen.
We've already begun to work on that as a committee. We've actually calendared out the rest of the year in anticipation of what projects we would like to consider for the remainder of this year and could potentially start for next year. So,
well, yeah, but strategic planning isn't month by month. Strategic planning, when you're talking about this kind of money, is, you're talking, when Kevin talks capital budget, we're talking 2, 3, 5 years. All I'm asking for is, I'm not saying the committee doesn't do it. I'm saying the committee needs to share it with the rest of us.
But that's not, but Terry, that's not part of their plan. That's not how they don't plan out 5-year plan, 3-year plan, 2-year plan.
No, and there's no way to anticipate what potential projects could come up.
I think this appears to be somewhat haphazard.
Well, I can tell you this, it is not haphazard between the open space. They've spent a lot of time, I'm going to say years, on these last 2 projects.
I'm not challenging them, Mike. I'm not saying they don't. What I'm saying is they need to be more transparent and share their thoughts and dreams and wishes with the rest of us.
Anybody
That's all I'm saying.
Okay, Terry, I'll put some things to share with you for, let's say, 2 council meetings from now.
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, I don't know if I got your vote. Did I get a vote?
No.
What are you asking me for, Mike?
No, Terry, on the 100,000, I just straw poll. Oh, did you start with a yes? I don't remember.
What are you trying to do in Joe Grill?
you've been part of that plan, that's been presented to the
No, I
council.
understand that, but some of the, you I hear well, some of the other folks I don't. All I'm asking is give me a 30-second encapsulation of what you're
We're
planning
doing
on doing.
we're moving some ball fields, we're building a walkway around the whole complex, how long is it, Eric? A couple mile walkway around the whole complex.
Building a brand new
We're-
ball field.
We're building a what?
There's gonna be another new ball field.
There's gonna be a brand-new ball field on top of the moving new ones. We're re-wooding a area where we're pulling up some ball fields. It's been a project in the works. Open space money from the county has been, what, 3 years? Terry?
Right, I'm aware of that. Okay, I have no problem with it. That's fine.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anything else, Ken? Okay, thank you. Going back to Councilwoman Rinker, you're back up.
Mike, can you hear me?
I can hear you good. Yeah, it's your report. Your turn.
Okay, thanks, just because my AirPods just went out.
Yeah, we can hear you good, actually.
Okay, thank you. I want to start by just congratulating the Girl Scouts and the library workers. It's really a pleasure to see you beginning to give out certificates again, and having, I heard Liz say, can I take your picture? And so that to me was the beginning of a sense of normalcy. One of the things that no one has brought up is the shredding event. And the shredding event was a huge success. I have gotten so many positive comments from residents and from neighbors that they thought it was just great. My understanding is, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, we've been doing it twice a year, and we do it as a joint project, the borough and the bid. Is that correct?
It was twice a year last year, I'll tell you the truth, I'm not sure what will happen this year. I assume Art will get back to me sometime in the fall if he feels it was a worthwhile project, but we did do it in the spring this year, and I'm sure, it's not a guaranteed plan. Art and I have talked about setting a guaranteed time frame, but I'm sure it was something we'll have to do.
Well, I would encourage us to do it at least twice a year. There was just so much positive feedback. My next comment is just a follow-up to something the mayor had said. He was talking about how we have a major project in terms of a redevelopment project in the offing. This project has been many, many years in the making. But as a project like this comes to fruition, other developers and other folks begin to think of Pompton Lakes more seriously. And what we're experiencing as an agency, and technically we're the redevelopment agency, is that we're looking for to streamline and formalize some of our processes. And one of the things that we've been working on since the beginning of the year is basically a project submission form. And it's been tweaked, and I think we're going to, hopefully this week, put some final tweaks on it, and within the next month or so, hopefully we have a final submission form. And I think that will be beneficial not only to the community and the redevelopment agency, but also to the developers and prospective developers who come to our community, because they will have a complete packet in front of them. They will know what's expected of them, and there'll be timelines in terms of what's realistic to expect. And I think some of the growing pains that we experience as a borough and as an agency perhaps will be rectified with a nice, good, clean submission form. So that's something to watch out for in the next few months. I have a few other comments. Some of them involve questions of some of the folks on the dais or on the side. In our packets and our emails, there was a DCA grant for recreation and improvement grant, and Kevin had talked, there were some emails back and forth. He had suggested Hirschfield Park, Is that what we're going to try to get, are we trying for the Hirschfield Park improvement?
Yes, we're gonna try to put something in for Hirschfield Park, yes.
And, there was also something about the DEP Urban Park initiative, but I couldn't tell from the materials we received whether that's something that we might be able to, take part in.
Yeah, Sue and I looked at that, and it really is for urban parks. We're not really into that mix. It's more for the cities of Union, cities of Patterson, Newark, Bayonne, and stuff like that. We're not really considered an urban park. And they only give out 5 grants. And so it's not as if like, if we're competing against big cities, I don't think we have much of an opportunity to. So we
I know we're not quote unquote urban. I just didn't know if, I know we were talking about the pocket park where the Ross Cleaners was. Do we have a chance at all of possibly getting some help with that property or some other downtown property for small parks? Or did you get the sense it's truly large urban communities?
I think it's mostly urban communities, and the cleaners themselves, it's in the hands of the EPA now, so they're not even part of that. The DEP's not even part of it anymore.
I have a question or a comment about the upcoming cannabis meeting. In the materials that we've gotten over the last couple of weeks, we have a beautiful PowerPoint from the speaker who presented as a coalition. We have tremendous amounts of material from the league, and even the AAA is doing a very interesting program on April 29th on drug recognition experts. And I guess my question is, we as a group are receiving so much information on this. Who is going to, which one of these things are you going to rely on, if any, and who is going to wade through these to make it
We are, at our meeting, our meeting is not going to be that kind of meeting. Our meeting is for the public to speak. We're not educating anybody from our end. We're just going to give an introduction of what it's about, what we're looking for, what the law means, and then let the public have a chance to speak.
Are you not going to at least show the six topics before people speak?
Yes, I think the attorney had planned on...
Yeah, we had talked about this at the last meeting. We're going to do a 5 to 10 minute introduction explaining the 6 categories and the change in the law, and then open it up to public comment to hear from the public.
And Dave, is that going to be you?
Yes. It's going to be... yes.
Yes.
So then my next question is to Dave. In addition to the materials I mentioned, we've gotten some very interesting materials from the mail. They gave us a sample ordinance.
Yes, I have that as well.
Are you going to, I don't know if you are going to comment on it. I guess I wanted your opinion.
Well, I think the whole point of the meeting is to hear from the public. The MEL's ordinance is the ordinance that, as I recall, it opts out. It recommends an opt-out of all 6 categories. Am I correct? Are we talking about the same ordinance?
Yes.
Yeah. I will be explaining the opt-out process and how that works with the, once you're, if you opt in, you're in for 5 years. If you opt out, you can opt in at any time and revisit it at the 5th-year anniversary of the opt-out period. But I was not anticipating recommending any form of ordinance at that meeting unless there's a consensus ahead of time. I thought the point of that meeting was to hear from the public in order for the council then to hunker down and determine what opt-outs we would make or opt-ins.
That's correct. So
I agree. Yes, that's what I was looking for. I was looking for assurances of that. Okay.
Yeah.
My last comment is, I think, Kevin, this is something you shared with us, if my notes are correct. There was something that surprised me in that there was an announcement that FEMA was providing funeral allowances to families who have suffered death from the COVID crisis. The mayor in his report mentioned that we had 14 deaths in the borough, and I was wondering if there was anything that we could do as a community to reach out to these 14 families to make them aware of the possibility of some reimbursement for funeral expenses.
Terry, we're not made aware of the names, so we as a borough do not have a list of names.
Oh. Because I guess what I'm concerned about is, how are these people going to know? Well, I guess the way they're going to know is that we speak about it at our council meetings, and maybe word gets out through the grapevine. But Kevin, is there I didn't quite get a sense of what the process was, but I guess I wanted to try to get the word out that to these 14 families, without us knowing the names, at least going public and letting them know that there is FEMA money available to them.
Yeah, you're doing it right now, so really this is the only way to do it.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Is it appropriate to ask Michael Corelli to post it as well?
He already has.
He has.
He has?
He has, yes.
Okay. Okay, Mayor, that's my report.
Thank you, and you're correct, in the form is a very big step for the redevelopment agency. You know, that makes it streamlined a little bit for every group coming in, so that's good. Councilman Bennett.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to start by thanking the folks that came in to talk about the cannabis and help educate us. I also attended a webinar, I believe it was last week. I forwarded out the PowerPoint, and the coordinator also offered to present to us at a council meeting if we'd like. I'd like to thank the bid. I'd like to echo Councilwoman Riker's thank you for the shredded event. It was very well attended. I look forward to when we're not waiting in our cars and we can just come drop off our shredding and be on our way. But the police, thank you to the police that handled the traffic, the additional traffic for folks that had to wait in their vehicles. The Girl Scouts, I'd like to thank them for the hard work in collecting the plastic bags and help our environment and donating that beautiful Trex bench that's up there. And lastly, many folks have given me feedback on the beautiful daffodils that have been blooming all for the last three, four weeks and continue to bloom because there are some areas that receive less sunlight. So we're up to 9,000 bulbs as of this year, over 3 years. I'd had the easy job. I just typed up some paperwork and submitted some pictures to City Green. So thank you to City Green and Passaic County for the grants. I think we're looking for 10,000 this year. Is that right? I'm kidding. One big hole, Kevin. No. Maybe an additional 1,000 to even out 10,000 for the borough, possibly when the grant period opens again. But huge thank you to the volunteers. They did the hard work of planting all 9,000 bulbs throughout the town. So enjoy them, and that is my report.
9,000 bulbs is nothing to sneeze at, that's for sure. Thank you. Councilman Bay.
Thank you. I received the Pompton Lakes Riverdale First Aid Squad report for the month of March 2021 from Chief Ken Arazi. There were 65 calls for service for the month of March. There were 36 calls in Pompton Lakes, 11 calls in Riverdale, 5 duty calls in Wanacue. There were 43 medical emergency calls, 11 trauma injury calls, no CPR calls, 6 motor vehicle accident calls, and 3 fire calls. I received the Pompton Lakes First Aid Squad report for the month of March 2021 from Fire Prevention Chief John Keating. He reports that there were 27 calls in March and 86 for the year 2021 to date. The Pompton Lakes Fire Department attended 2 funerals of firemen that died in the line of duty. Passaic fireman Israel Talento, age 33, and Springfield Valley, New York fireman Jared Lloyd, age 35. I received the Pompton Lakes Police Department report for the month of March 2021 from Chief Derek Clark. There were 2,347 calls for service for the month of March. There were 741 motor vehicle stops, 407 summonses issued, 20 motor vehicle accidents investigated, 59 ambulance requests, 1 DWI arrest, 24 alarm conditions burglary, 7 alarm conditions fire, 1 burglary, 3 thefts, 2 sexual assaults, 2 aggravated assaults, and 11 domestic violence. The Detective Bureau investigated 11 complaints, conducted 24 background checks for gun permits, completed 2 raffle applications, and completed 10 background checks for the military and police agencies. I attended Pompton Lakes Board of Education meeting on April 13th, 2021. Superintendent Paul Amoroso advised that 100 students that were attending school virtually are now going to be returning to school. 55 in Pompton Lakes High School, 18 at Lakeside Middle School, 18 at Lennox School, and 9 at Lincoln School. The Board of Education approved the repair of gutters and roofing caused by recent storms at Pompton Lakes High School at a cost of $14,900. The board approved the resignation of Mara Sterling, science teacher at Pompton Lakes High School. She will be retiring effective July 1st, 2021. It was also reported that Paul Smith is the coach of the year for cross-country and fencing. The FBLA club took 2 first places at the state event. Riley Bessay was awarded a governor's scholarship for engineering and technology. And Jackie Dubrovich, class of 2012, will be representing the U.S. as an Olympic fencer. And that's my report.
Yeah, that's very impressive. You know, that's nice to see. Pompton Lakes being, once again, making the news for something good. That's really nice. You know, you talked about volunteers. I had the opportunity last week to check out a new fire truck that one of the local towns has, and they brought over to our department. And let me just tell you, they put me in this bucket and took me up 80 feet in the air. And I looked back at how steep the ladder is that our guys every day are climbing to go up and down when there's a fire.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you, it's steep and it's scary going up and down that ladder, and I don't know how they do it. So you know, again, this is the things you don't think about, but when the heat of a moment, big fire, you got all that equipment on, and you're climbing 80 feet up in the air on a ladder that's like this, that's why they're volunteers. They do a great job as a volunteer. Professional reports.
Thank you, Mayor. Nothing really of significance to report, but we are, as you're aware, we do continue to work with our COA consultants to move that process forward and get a settlement approved by the court.
I forgot to mention, we did have a COA meeting, and we're getting closer. I think we're almost there.
Closer.
We're almost there. You know, I've heard that before, but we're almost there. Administrator's report.
I provided my report to the council last week by email. I'll just give a couple quick highlights. The Borough Police Department has applied for the 2021 Clicker Ticket Grant, and if approved, that project will begin sometime in the June timeframe. As you know, the Borough of Pompton Lakes received $757,000 from the County of Passaic as part of its CARES program out of the first round of federal funding. To date, we have spent $641,000 of that money, and the remaining money will be spent by the June 30th deadline for final reimbursement. We also received the recycling award from 2018. DEP is usually about 2 years behind or so in terms of the awards. This is based upon the amount of tonnage that's in the municipal waste stream. So it's a $3 a ton tax that's placed on this, and this is our reimbursement for that $3 a ton tax. So we received $12,977 from 2018's recycling award. And real quick, Based upon some work we did and also our personal policy manual, we've now reduced our public employee liability insurance to a $2,500 deductible with no copay. The original cost within the first $20,000 was on us, so we've saved significant money passing those ordinances we did at the end of the year and putting together the policy manual. Let's see what else we have. The other really big news is that in June, we're going to be doing, as I mentioned, during the other part of the meeting, during the budget, a $4,400,000 note. That is to fund outstanding debt. And you have 10 years to pay down a note before I start permanent financing. So at this point in time, we're pretty much halfway through some of those. Some of our financing has fallen off. So basically how we try to work is that we add debt and reduce that kind of same level. So in the end, there's really no major impact to the community relative to annual costs as part of the budget. Because debt service is something that's on the budget, it's not deferred. So we're paying down principal interest on our notes and our bonds. So to keep that levelized, it protects the community relative to overall costs. So again, this is a little bigger note because we had the last couple of years we've been doing bigger debt service. We've been over $1 million the last couple of years, which is something we normally don't do. But unfortunately, if you want to get things done, you got to try to spread your wings a little bit to try to get things accomplished. So that's going to be our note for this year, and potentially, I'll love to retire by then, but by that time comes in a few years, the major debt will retire. You have to do another bond sale. That'll be a larger, that'll be a long-term permanent debt for 15 to 20 years, wherever the amortization schedule is. But so that's something we have to keep an eye on. And as I mentioned before, too, we submitted for the body camera grant from the state Attorney General's office. And again, there is no set number. We believe it's going to be based upon population, how many officers, and what they have to spread through the community. So it's like I said, it's going to be state mandate, state maybe pay a little bit. That's my report.
The one thing you mentioned in your report, we will be starting the paving of Colfax Avenue in the next week or two, right? Is that correct?
That's correct.
They'll start with the fixing some of the curbs and the tree, removing some trees, and then we'll start with the paving. So, I know the residents have been happy that they thought that was the paving. That was a temporary paving job to get us through the winter because they got COVID and couldn't do the job last year when they were supposed to. So that whole road will be paved from end to end in about 2 weeks.
I have a question about that, man.
Sure.
So there's some low spots
That's what we're taking. That's what we're taking care of and part of the plan.
Okay, so
because we've had people talk to us over years about those areas. So Farrell was that's part of the overall.
okay, so that will be addressed.
That'll be addressed.
Low areas. Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Any questions from the administrator? None? Okay. Motion to open the meeting for public comments. Council President Devine, Councilwoman Polidori. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address? You want to raise your hand? Come on. Yeah.
Dave Klein, 107 Federal Hill Road. Let me go back to one thing, I kind of missed what you were saying about the nests. Yeah, what kind were they?
What's that?
The nests.
We usually do it in from middle March to like middle April, end of April.
Yeah, and what kind were they? I missed what you said.
106 eggs so far.
Geese egg.
Oh.
Geese, the geese eggs. The Canadian geese.
Oh, Canadian.
We addle the eggs. It's an official program from the state, which stops them from being stops bringing more geese back into town. Canadian geese.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I missed. Okay, yeah. Also, on Willard Street, which I've noticed, like one of the small sewer covers which is kind of big enough to maybe fit like a water meter, like about this big or so. which, about a month ago, I called the police department and told Stephanie Filippi that the cover for some time had been missing, so she said that she would notify the DPW to let them know
All right, well,
about it.
thank you, but it could be an MUA thing too, I don't know.
Okay, yeah, anyway, yeah. Okay, yeah, you're right about that, yeah.
Yeah, we don't have it, but it's someone to blame, we'll blame someone.
Yeah, I get what you mean along those lines, yeah, then, on Facebook, which, Kevin and the DPW should thank me for, because, in the Pompton rooms, I've seen people saying, like, when it's the fifth Wednesday, and someone posts saying that my papers never got picked up or other, then I read the post and then I'm like, oh God, here we go again, and then I respond saying that there's no recycle collection on any fifth Wednesday, so it's like papers are first and third.
Something like that.
And, yeah, first and third Wednesday, and the
Second and fourth.
bottles is second and fourth.
Yeah,
And then there's no collection on the fifth Wednesday, then everyone screws up.
And that's why you answered your own question about changing the days to garbage, because that's what will happen.
Yeah, true. I'll give you that, yeah, then,
Good job, baby.
and also, yeah, most of you are gonna need a couple laughs here. Yeah, and anyone who plays Words with Friends on their phones, iPads, and whatnot, then, I hate to do this to you, but if anyone does or wants to play Stephen Bank, good luck, Stephen.
Well, he is a teacher, so he might be difficult.
Oh, yeah, that's why, you know?
I didn't want to throw that in there. I didn't throw that in there. You threw that in there.
Yeah, and if I can beat him, it's at least maybe once or twice a year, then I take a picture of it, and then I put it on Bill's Facebook page, and then I probably go down to the bars to have a beer or something. And of course, I've known Maria for quite some time around town and stuff, and which I've said to Maria since she won the election to take over for Frank Jacknetta, and yes, I know I've lost my say to you. Because when Maria was out here, when Frank was there, then she would just start saying her say, then you end up saying to her, need your name and address, so now since you're there, I lost my say to you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Seeing no one, could I have a motion to close the public session?
Motion.
Councilman Venon, Council President Thine. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anybody have privilege of the floor?
Just want to correct something I said earlier. I
Good.
had mentioned that I would present to the council upcoming projects and outline for open space within the next 2 council meetings. I meant next 2 months,
Okay,
because we need to meet again.
okay.
Here.
Okay.
I forgot to mention, at the first Board of Education meeting, the board members took to a vote and voted unanimously with one abstention that they would like to meet with, Councilman Venon on the DPW and their facilities people for shared services with,
Yeah, we've spoken already, that's not gonna work.
okay, they voted on it in public, so
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure I had it on.
Yeah, I spoke to them already, we can't even do what we need to do with our guys, they can't plow schools and things like that.
Okay, no, that's fine.
They're too busy to begin with, I mean, we can't even get what we need done.
I talked to Paul, and it's actually gonna be cheaper for them to do their own work.
Yeah, it just would never happen.
Okay, and I just wanted to also thank the DPW for doing a beautiful job at the library. It looks really very nice.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, motion to adjourn. Councilman Bennett, who's the second? Me. You? Council President, DeWine? Thank you, everyone, for showing up. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, thank you.
Good night, sir.